In this fireside chat, Anita Laney, CEO of Professional Partnering Solutions, and Duff Stewart, CEO of GSD&M, discuss what it was like creating an agency supplier diversity initiative back in 2005, the drivers for starting that initiative, and Anita as the first director of supplier diversity in advertising.
Well, thank you for that introduction. Hi, Duff. It's great.
Hi, Anita. How are you today? It's good to see you.
Well, absolutely. And did you think in 2021 we'd be back together talking about the subject of supplier diversity?
Well, I would have imagined that, yes, at some point we would talk about it together again because we forged such a path together. But I never would imagine that we would have been in a virtual world. I would have assumed that you and I would have been side by side and we would have been having this as a real fireside conversation as opposed to a virtual fireside. But it's all good.
Absolutely. And I was looking forward to coming back to Austin and revisiting Idea City. But, we've been asked to speak about leadership and leadership's role, opportunities, and why supplier diversity is important to advertising and media. As I think back to 2005, when you hired me to develop and lead the supplier diversity program, GSD&M was the first to have a formal initiative. And I ended up being the first supplier diversity director in advertising. And it's tough being the first, by the way. But what were some of the drivers that led to your decision to launch an initiative back then?
Well, I think for us at GSD&M, we had come to the realization that with clients like the U.S. Air Force, where we had an affirmative action plan, but under that contract, we had a certain percentage of our spend had to be with diverse suppliers. And then we had a relationship with AT&T, and they also tracked that. And one began to realize that if we were each year going to pursue and report on the individual numbers for each client, that we would be spending a lot of time chasing goals. And that's when it dawned on me that, if we create our own program and make our own commitments internally to bring people to the table, to hire diversely, to bring partners to the table, then it'd be much easier to report how we were doing, right? Rather than continuing to chase somebody's evolving goals. So that meant that we had to create from scratch a program. And how would you do that? And we didn't have that, but you had that experience.